I was sitting in my home office, reviewing the quarterly reports for Anderson Manufacturing, when my phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. It was 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, and the late autumn sun was streaming through the window, casting long shadows across the mahogany desk that had belonged to my father before me. I've been going through projections for next year's expansion into the Midwest market, something I've been planning for months. The voicemail was from my daughter, Catherine. I smiled, thinking she was probably calling about Thanksgiving plans or maybe asking for advice on one of her projects. Catherine had always been ambitious, driven, the kind of person who made lists and checked them off with satisfaction. She worked as our VP of operations, had been with the company for 12 years since graduating from business school. I hit play, leaning back in my chair. "Dad, it's me. Look, I need you to know something before the board meeting tomorrow. Linda and I have been talking with the other board members, and we've made a decision about the company's future. We think it's time for new leadership. You've done an amazing job building Anderson Manufacturing, but let's be honest, you're 67 years old. The industry is changing fast, and we need someone who understands digital transformation, automation, modern supply chain management. Someone who can take us into the next decade. So we're going to propose a leadership transition at tomorrow's meeting. Don't worry, we'll make sure you're taken care of. A generous retirement package, consultant role if you want it, the whole thing. But Dad, you need to understand, you're too old to run this company anymore. We need you to step aside. Linda and I will handle everything. Just sign the papers tomorrow, and this can all be smooth. See you at the meeting." The voicemail ended. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to dead air. Let me tell you who I am before I go any further. My name's Harold, 67 years old. I built Anderson Manufacturing from absolutely nothing. 43 years ago, I started in a rented garage with $8,000 in savings, making custom metal parts for local contractors. My wife, Margaret, and I lived on ramen and hope while I worked 18-hour days, learning everything from welding to bookkeeping to sales. Margaret passed away 9 years ago. Cancer. The same year we finally hit $50 million in annual revenue. She never got to see us break $100 million. Never got to see the second facility we built in Ohio. Never got to see what her belief in me had created. But her daughters saw it. Catherine and Linda. I'd brought them into the business as soon as they were old enough. Paid for their college educations. Catherine got her MBA from Northwestern. Linda got hers from Penn. I made them board members. Given them executive positions. Split my ownership 3 ways. I kept 51%. They each got 24.5%. And now they were staging a coup. I played the voicemail again. Then a third time. Each time, certain words stood out sharper. "You're too old. Step aside. We'll handle everything. Just sign the papers." The board meeting was tomorrow at 10 a.m. I checked my calendar. There it was listed as strategic planning session. Not emergency leadership transition. Not forcing the founder out. Just an innocent-sounding meeting that would end with me being removed from the company I'd spent 43 years building. I walked to my window and looked out at the garden Margaret had planted before she died. The roses were dormant now, preparing for winter. I felt something similar happening inside me. Not death exactly, but a kind of hibernation of the man I'd been. The trusting father. The generous mentor. The man who believed family meant loyalty. That man was going dormant. Something colder was taking his place. I didn't call Catherine back. Didn't call Linda. Instead, I went to my filing cabinet and pulled out the corporate documents. All of them. The original articles of incorporation from 1981. The bylaws. The shareholder agreements. The succession planning documents we'd drawn up 5 years ago. I spent the evening reading every word, every clause, every provision. Around midnight, I found what I was looking for. The shareholder agreement had a specific provision about board composition and voting. Any change in CEO required a supermajority vote, not just simple majority, but 75% approval. With my 51% stake, my daughter's combined 49% wasn't enough. They needed my vote to remove me. But there was something else. Something I'd insisted on when we'd restructured 5 years ago. much to my attorney's recommendation. A founder protection clause. It stated that any attempt to remove the founder from leadership position without cause would trigger an immediate option for the founder to buy back all shares at book value. Not market value, book value. Anderson Manufacturing's market value, based on our revenue and growth projections, was approximately $180 million. Our book value, the actual assets minus liabilities, was $43 million. If Catherine and Linda try to force me out tomorrow, I could buy back their shares for roughly $21 million total, about a third of what they were actually worth. I'd put that clause in as insurance. Never thought I'd need it. Never imagined my own daughters would make it necessary. Before I tell you what happened at that board meeting, I need you to do something. Watch this video till the end. You won't believe how this plays out. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. And comment below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. Have you ever been betrayed by family and business? Share your story. I'm reading every single one. Now, back to what they try to do. I made some calls. First to Richard Clemens, my attorney for 30 years. Woke him up at 12:30 a.m. He answered groggily. Richard, I need you at the board meeting tomorrow. And I need you to bring the founder buyback paperwork. The templates we prepared 5 years ago. He was awake now. Harold, what's happening? My daughters are trying to force me into retirement. Tomorrow. They left me a voicemail basically telling me to show up and sign my life away. Silence. Then those idiots. Do they not remember the protection clause? Apparently not. Harold, if you exercise that option, you'll bankrupt them. They'll lose everything. Then they should have thought about that before staging a coup. This is your family. I know exactly who they are, Richard. And tomorrow, they're going to learn exactly who I am. Be there at 9:30. Come prepared. Next, I called James Martinez, my CFO. James had been with me for 18 years, started as a junior accountant, worked his way up. I trusted him completely. James, I need you to prepare something for me by morning. A complete valuation breakdown. Market value versus book value of every share in the company. And I need you to calculate exactly what Catherine and Linda's shares are worth under both scenarios. Sir, is something wrong? Something's about to be very right. Just have it ready. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my brother Thomas. We'd had a falling out a decade ago over something stupid I couldn't even remember now. But Thomas was a businessman too. He'd understand what I was facing. Harold, he sounded surprised. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. Thomas, I need advice. My daughters are trying to force me out of my own company. The company you built from nothing. The same. He didn't hesitate. Burn them, Harold. I know they're your kids, but business is business. If they're coming at you, you defend yourself. Family doesn't give them the right to steal what you built. That's what I needed to hear. For what it's worth, Thomas said quietly, I'm sorry. About before. About the stupid fight. Life's too short. It is. Thanks, Thomas. I hung up and sat in my office until dawn, watching the sun come up over Margaret's garden. I imagined what she'd say if she were here. Margaret had always been the emotional one, the one who believed in family unity above all else. But she'd also been fierce about protecting what was ours. I thought she'd understand what I was about to do. I hope she would. The board meeting was held in our main conference room, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the manufacturing floor. I could see our employees down there, working the assembly lines, operating the machinery, building the products that made everything possible. I arrived at 9:45, 15 minutes early. Richard was already there, briefcase open, documents arranged in front of him. James sat beside him, laptop ready. Catherine and Linda walked in at 9:55, laughing about something. They stopped when they saw Richard. Dad, why is your attorney here? Catherine asked. This is just a family discussion. Is it? I asked calmly. Because your voicemail made it sound like a fait accompli. Linda exchanged a look with Catherine. We thought it would be easier if you had legal support. For the transition. How thoughtful. The other board members arrived. 6 of them total. Catherine and Linda, 3 outside directors we brought in during our last funding round, and Michael Forrester, our VP of engineering who'd been with me for 26 years. Catherine called the meeting to order. She looked confident, prepared. She'd probably rehearsed this. Thank you all for coming on short notice. We're here to discuss a leadership transition that Linda and I believe is critical for Anderson Manufacturing's continued success. She pulled out a PowerPoint presentation. As you can see from these slides, the industry is evolving rapidly. Digital transformation, automation, AI integration. These are the future of manufacturing. And while we're grateful for Dad's 43 years of service, we need leadership that understands these technologies and can guide us forward. The presentation went on. Charts showing our competitors' adoption of new technologies. Graphs projecting market share loss if we didn't modernize our leadership structure. Testimonials from industry experts about the importance of generational transition. It was professional, well-researched, completely devastating. Linda took over. We're proposing Harold transition to Chairman Emeritus. He'd still have an office, still be available for consultation. But day-to-day operations and strategic direction would fall to Catherine as CEO and myself as president. We believe this is the best path forward. And if I disagree? I asked. Catherine's smile was patient, condescending. Dad, please don't make this difficult. We have votes. The board has already been briefed. This is happening. I looked at the outside directors. Two of them wouldn't meet my eyes. The third, Patricia Reynolds, looked uncomfortable but nodded slightly when Catherine glanced at her. They'd lobbied the board before this meeting. Secure the votes. Come prepared to ram this through whether I liked it or not. Let me make sure I understand, I said slowly. You're removing me as CEO of the company I founded. The company I built from nothing over 43 years. You're doing this without my consent, despite my majority shareholding, because you think I'm too old. That's reductive, Linda said. This isn't about age. It's about capability. I see. I turned to Richard. Counselor, can you explain to my daughters what they've just triggered? Richard stood up. All business now. Certainly. Per the shareholder agreement executed 5 years ago, any attempt to remove the founder from an executive leadership position without documented cause triggers Section 7.3, the Founder Protection Clause. This clause grants Mr. Anderson the immediate option to repurchase all outstanding shares at book value within 30 days of such an attempt. Catherine's face went pale. What? Book value, Richard continued, as calculated this morning by your CFO, is approximately $43 million for the company's total equity. Ms. Anderson and Ms. Anderson's combined shares represent 49% of that. Mr. Anderson can purchase your shares for $21,070,000 total. That's insane, Linda said. Our shares are worth at least $88 million at market value. Correct. But you're not selling at market value. You're being bought out at book value because you triggered the protection clause by attempting to remove your father without cause. We have cause. Catherine's voice was rising now. The industry is changing. He's not capable of. Being 67 years old is not cause under the corporate bylaws. Richard interrupted. Cause would be documented misconduct, financial impropriety, or gross negligence. You have none of those. You have PowerPoint slides about industry trends. One of the outside directors, Thomas Kim, spoke up. Harold, surely we can discuss this rationally. Catherine and Linda have valid points about the company's future direction. Do they? Or do they have ambition and impatience? I stood up. Let me tell you all something about this company. About what it took to build it from nothing. About the sacrifices my wife and I made. About the years of 18-hour days and missed family dinners and mortgaging our house 3 times to make payroll. I walked to the window overlooking the factory floor. You see those people down there? I know their names. All 247 of them. I know whose kid is in college, whose parent is sick, who's getting married next month. I built this company to create jobs, to build something that mattered, to leave a legacy for my family. I turned back to face them, and my family just tried to steal it from me because they think digital transformation means I'm obsolete. Well, here's a lesson in business, Catherine. Linda, never underestimate the person who built the company, because they know where all the protections are buried. Catherine was on her feet. You can't do this. You can't just buy us out. Actually, I can. Richard, please provide them with the paperwork. Richard slid 2 thick packets across the table. You have 30 days to accept or reject the buyout. If you reject it, Mr. Anderson retains his CEO position and you retain your shares. If you accept, you'll receive $21,070,000 and forfeit all ownership in Anderson Manufacturing. This is blackmail, Linda said. No, this is business, I replied. Which is exactly what you said this was when you staged this ambush. Family doesn't give you the right to take what I built. You taught me that this morning. Patricia Reynolds cleared her throat. Harold, I have to say, I was uncomfortable with how Catherine and Linda approached this. They told us you were on board with the transition, that this meeting was just a formality. I looked at Catherine. Did you tell them that? She didn't answer. They lied to the board, Patricia continued. If I'd known you were being forced out against your will, I would never have supported this. Thomas Kim nodded. Same here. Catherine, Linda, you misrepresented this situation completely. Michael Forrester, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. Harold, you know I've been with you for 26 years. I've seen you navigate every crisis this company has faced. The recession in 2008, the supply chain disaster in 2015, the fire that nearly destroyed our Ohio facility. You're the steadiest hand this company has. I vote no confidence in this transition. Thank you, Michael. Catherine was furious now. This is ridiculous. Dad, you're being vindictive. We were trying to help the company. By lying to the board, by trying to force me out, by treating me like I'm senile. My voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath. You didn't even have the respect to talk to me first. You left me a voicemail. A voicemail, Catherine, telling me to show up and sign my life away. We knew you'd be emotional about it. I'm not emotional. I'm strategic. Something you clearly haven't learned yet. Linda tried a different approach. Dad, please. Can we talk about this privately? Just the 3 of us. No. You made this public by bringing it to the board. We'll resolve it publicly. I turned to Richard. File the buyout paperwork. 30-day timeline starts today. Understood. And Richard, I want to restructure the board. Remove Catherine and Linda as board members effective immediately. They've demonstrated a complete lack of fiduciary responsibility and misrepresented material facts to other board members. I want them out. Dad, both of them said it simultaneously. You tried to steal my company. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences? The meeting dissolved into chaos. Catherine and Linda were demanding I reconsider. The outside directors were trying to mediate. Michael was quietly supportive. Richard was taking notes for what would undoubtedly be future legal proceedings. I walked out, went back to my office, sat at my father's mahogany desk, and felt absolutely nothing for a long moment. Then I called Thomas. Did you do it? He asked. I did. How do you feel? I don't know yet. You will. Give it time. The next few days were a blur of legal documents, financial calculations, and complete radio silence from my daughters. No calls. No texts, no visits, just attorney-to-attorney communication about the buyout terms. James came to my office with a detailed breakdown. Sir, if you buy out Catherine and Linda's shares for $21 million, you'll need to liquidate some assets. Your personal investments, probably the vacation property in Vermont, maybe take a loan against your house. Do it. It'll leave you cash poor for a while. I'll survive. What's the alternative? You could offer the market value. Buy them out at $88 million. Take on investors to raise the capital. Maintain family relationships. They don't want family relationships, James. They want my company. There's a difference. He nodded slowly. Understood. I'll start the liquidation process. A week after the board meeting, my son-in-law Greg called. He was married to Catherine, had always been pleasant enough, worked in finance. Harold, please. Catherine is devastated. She's not eating, barely sleeping. She never meant to hurt you. Then why did she try to force me out? She thought she was doing the right thing. That you'd be happier retired. That you deserve to enjoy your golden years. She genuinely believed the company needed younger leadership. Did she believe that? Or did Linda convince her of that? Silence. Then, Linda's always been more aggressive. But Catherine went along with it. She owns that. Then she can own the consequences. Harold, she's your daughter. I know exactly who she is, Greg. And she knows exactly who I am now, too. Another week passed. The 30-day deadline was approaching. My attorney called with an update. Harold, Catherine and Linda's attorney, has made a counteroffer. They'll accept the buyout at $35 million. Split the difference between book value and market value. No, Harold, that's significantly more generous than the original terms. The original terms were what they triggered when they tried to force me out. They don't get to renegotiate. $21 million, or they keep their shares, and I keep my CEO position. Those are the only options. They're going to reject it. Then I stay CEO, and we all move forward very awkwardly. If you're still watching this, smash that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already. The ending is worth it, I promise. And comment below where you're watching from and what time it is there. Would you have bought them out or kept them as hostile shareholders? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Now here's what they decided. On day 28 of the 30-day deadline, Catherine showed up at my house. It was late evening, raining, and she looked terrible. Hair wet, mascara running, clothes disheveled. Dad, please. I'm begging you. Don't do this. I stood in my doorway, blocking her from entering. Do what? Enforce the contract you triggered. $21 million isn't fair. Our shares are worth 4 times that. Then you should have thought about that before trying to steal my company. We weren't stealing. We were trying to help. By lying to the board. By ambushing me. By treating me like I'm incompetent. She was crying now, real sobs. I made a mistake. Linda convinced me it was the right move. She said you'd understand, that you'd be relieved to retire. I was stupid and I'm sorry. But Dad, please. $21 million means we lose everything. The house, our savings, everything we built. Everything you built? With my money? With the salaries I paid you? With the dividends from the company I created? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Catherine. You know what's not fair? Getting a voicemail from your daughter telling you you're too old to run your own company. That's not fair. I'm sorry. How many times do I have to say it? Sorry doesn't give me back my trust. Sorry doesn't undo the fact that you looked at everything I built and decided you deserved it more than I did. She stared at me, rain dripping from her hair onto my porch. So that's it. You're really going to destroy your own daughters over this. I'm not destroying you. I'm buying you out at the terms you triggered. You did this to yourselves. Linda did this. She's the one who convinced me. She's the one who made it sound reasonable. And you went along with it. You're 39 years old, Catherine. You don't get to blame your sister for your choices. She turned to leave, then stopped. Mom would be ashamed of you. That hit hard, but I kept my voice steady. Your mother would be ashamed of both of us. Me for having to do this. You for making it necessary. She left, drove away in her Tesla, the one I'd helped her buy 3 years ago as a bonus. 2 days later, on day 30, their attorney called mine. Catherine and Linda had accepted the buyout terms. $21 million, to be paid within 90 days. All shares transferred to me. Complete severance from the company. I signed the papers in my office, surrounded by 43 years of memories. Photos of the garage where it all started. Pictures of Margaret at various company milestones. Framed articles about her growth. Awards from industry organizations. Richard watched me sign. Harold, are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. You're losing your daughters over this. I lost my daughters when they tried to take my company. This is just the paperwork. 3 months later, the buyout was complete. I'd liquidated assets, taken out a loan, scraped together the $21 million. Catherine and Linda were no longer part of Anderson Manufacturing in any capacity. No ownership, no board seats, no employment. I'd restructured the board, brought in new outside directors who actually understood manufacturing, promoted Michael Forrester to president and COO, brought in a young VP of digital strategy to oversee our technology modernization, because Catherine had been right about one thing. We didn't need to embrace new technologies. I just didn't need to retire to make that happen. The company was thriving. Revenue was up 12% year over year. We just landed our biggest contract ever with a major automotive manufacturer. Our digital transformation was ahead of schedule. And I was alone. Catherine and Linda didn't speak to me. Didn't call on my birthday. Didn't invite me to family events. I heard through the grapevine that they'd both moved, downsized their lives significantly. The $21 million had to be split between them, and, after taxes and paying off their own debts, they each walked away with about $7 million. Comfortable, but not the windfall they'd expected. Greg divorced Catherine 6 months after the buyout. Apparently, the financial stress and her bitterness had destroyed their marriage. Linda's husband stayed, but their relationship was strained. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. Thomas called me on a Saturday morning. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine." "Liar." I actually laughed. "Okay, I'm not fine, but I'm surviving." "Any regrets?" I thought about that. I regret that they forced my hand. I regret that family meant so little to them that they were willing to destroy it for control of a company. But do I regret protecting what I built? No. Good. Don't ever regret that. I stood in my office looking out at the manufacturing floor. Different workers now. We'd grown to 312 employees since the buyout. More shifts, more production lines, more success. But I still knew their names. All 312 of them. One afternoon about